So Blase is a rapper. He's a rapper slash composer slash activist slash. He does many things, and I don't want to preempt stuff because I need to ask him some questions about how it used to be growing up in Zambia back in. Oh, there we go. There's the request. Okay, I'm going to accept it. Go live with Blase. Waiting on him. Should be up in about 3, 2, 1. Is he live? Suspense. Ta-da! With the Zambian flags. Look at you, bro. Oh man, like keeping it all patriotic. What so is that a flag and that's a scarf?
Yeah, man. Z
Wow.
all the way.
Where's the India one, man? You need to balance things.
Yo, for the India one, I got Mr. ARM on right here,
Oh,
man.
there we go. There we go. I was going to say you got some India in there as well. Good to be speaking to you, man. And thanks for taking time. I know it's been a challenge with time differences, but hope you can hear me right.
I can hear you clearly, man. I hope you can hear me out. And I heard at the beginning you said that it was cold out there. Man, it's 42 degrees out here.
Really? Oh, flip. I can hear the Nelly song playing. It's getting hot in here. All right, man. So let's get straight into it. I've been giving everyone like your history now. So here's one thing that fascinates me about your journey. So everyone now I think is probably aware that in 1991 or so you were already pioneering things on the rap scene in Zambia, but you were doing it in the Copper Belt. So at the moment, present day Zambia, there's like this rivalry between Copperbelt people, who have a whole movement going there, and Lusaka people, championed, I suppose, by Slap D and XYZ and so on. But back then, there was no social media, right? And I was in Lusaka, and I was monitoring your movements because we weren't on TV, but you had like stuff going on TV, and you just be like, this guy, he's outshining us, this guy. Well, what do you remember about those days, man? Let's start there.
Man, honestly, what I remember, see, though we were young, right? We
Yeah.
had that fire and we knew we
Mm.
wanted to do this so badly. And it
Yeah.
wasn't about doing it so that the million people can hit the likes or follow us or anything. It was
Yeah.
about doing it because we had something to say. We had something to
Yeah.
give. We had
Yeah.
a reason to want to be there doing it. Not just for
Yeah.
the outside of it. It was from
Yeah.
inside.
Yeah.
That's what we wanted to do. So
Yeah.
even the rivalry between the Copperbelt and Lusaka,
Yeah.
it's just it was beautiful because even though I could say, yo, I got a video, you got a video, but when you
Yeah.
meet, there are only that many of us doing that, man.
Yeah.
So there
Yeah.
can be
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
hate.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it
Absolutely.
was
Yeah. So what I remember about those days is that you had like your visuals going. So I mean, like the thing about your music is you've got the musical side of it, right? But then it's always linked to images and visuals and that kind of thing. So I mean, I remember you shot a. I mean, the first thing that I remember you doing was that Frederick Chiluba song, which I was just telling the guys now was a brave move considering that it was a guy who was still in opposition. You know, what I mean, he wasn't even in power, and then you were doing a song that was supporting the movement of change. Like early activism on your side, I suppose. And that was how did that come about? And do you remember the words for that song?
whoa, yeah. So 91, honestly, it is
You must
my
remember.
Oh, absolutely, and in all my in the Wikipedia and everything, the first rap I ever did ever on screen or live, it was the president's rap. The President Frederick
Wow.
Chiluba, rest in peace. And I'm telling
Yeah,
you,
yeah,
it's just and the way it happened, it's like
yeah,
it was just yesterday, man. And for all of you out there, so I'm sitting in my bedroom in Kana West at the
yeah.
Club Street Flats.
Okay. Wait,
Y'all know the
I'm,
Club
I'm,
Street Flats, right
my,
next to
my,
the copper mine,
I'm
right
sure
next
the
to the
guys know my.
mines.
I'm thin with my Kitwe knowledge. I'm embarrassed to say.
Man, so I'm sitting there, and
Yeah.
I saw Frederick Chiluba's speech and this kind of stuff he was trying to
So
do,
he was he
and
already
at that
president?
no
Had
no
he?
no no
That was
he was
before. He was still in
going
opposition.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is
Okay.
before. Yeah, this is
Yeah. Yeah.
before. And He was this really short guy, and he
Yeah.
was very vocal and very
Very
nice with his
eloquent.
words.
Yeah.
Eloquent. That's what I was
Hmm.
looking for. So he's very eloquent. And for me, it was just a poem that I started to write in the bedroom. It wasn't a rap. It wasn't meant to be on TV. It
Oh.
wasn't a song. It was just
Yeah.
me writing to somebody I'm seeing on screen saying, yo, I wish you well. La 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 la. And I wrote, and then my father came back at 4:20 p.m., 16:20 hours from work
Yeah.
from ZCCM, and he walked in and he had his friend Mr. Ben Chiesu. And
Wow.
Ben Chiesu was a colleague of his who was on a wheelchair. Okay,
Oh.
but he was working in the same office, and he came in with a guitar. So Ben
Oh
used to
yeah.
play the
Yeah. Yeah.
guitar,
Yeah.
and he was
Yeah.
my dad's colleague, and he came in, and my dad said, hey, this is Ben, and he just came to have a cup of tea, at home.
Yeah. 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 Like this.
And I
Yeah. Yeah.
went out, and I went outside, and I said, hey, I've written this poem on Frederick Chiluba, check it out. And right there, Ben started strumming some chords, and my dad
Wow.
said, hey guys, this could be something, let's go. And he didn't tell us what, where, nothing, okay? But
Yeah.
we both got up and we drove straight down to ZNBC studios in Kitwe.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And over there, we found Mr. Willie Chama.
Yeah.
Again, rest in peace. He's gone as well, man.
Oh
Everybody's
man.
gone,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
So Willie Chama, he asked Goretti Mapulanga, and they just sanctioned it and said, you know what, this is right now. And this was a Monday.
Yeah.
And he said, tomorrow, on Tuesday, we have Focus, which is the TV show,
Yeah.
Focus.
Focus.
Yeah,
Was it called Focus on the
with Anne
Copperboat at first?
Mukabe.
Oh
With Anne
man.
Mukabe.
Wow.
And so he said, so tomorrow we're bringing the crew and just find us a nice location and we'll
Yeah.
shoot this song as a song. And it has never been recorded. Whatever we performed was live.
It was live. Yeah. Yeah.
We didn't have a facility to press record. It was just he played and I rapped. And
Wow.
I'm rhyming this rhyme to the president. I'm not yet a citizen, but a resident. Thanking you from the bottom of my heart. You stopped this nation from tearing apart into 2 or 3 or 4 or even 5. And if it carried on, it would finally die. Seize the hour. Brothers, love one another. Don't kill for creed. Don't kill for a color. Yo,
Wow.
I'm
And you were 16 at the time. 16,
I was
15.
I was 16,
Wow.
man,
Yeah.
16. That was
Damn.
and so that was on
Yeah.
Tuesday we recorded and we came
Yeah.
on Focus on TV on Tuesday. On Thursday the elections were announced and he won.
Yeah. Did you ever hear
And
back
that's
from his people, or was it just kind of it didn't matter?
man, honestly for me, I did it because I wanted to
Yeah.
send
Yeah.
my message out. And
Yeah.
I'm sure now that he is up there, he's probably saying, yo, let's
Looking
get you
down
back
on
to
you.
Zambia.
So what's interesting is during that time, that's when in Zambia hip hop started kind of being seen in the limelight. I mean, so there was your song, which was pro MMD, and then there was Kelvin Sampa, who's now an MP. I don't know if you know,
Kelvin!
but he's a member of parliament in Kasama with the current government, and so he was doing the UNIP song. So it's almost
Yeah.
like those the rivalry between political parties and then hip hop or rap, siding and getting into the mix over during that time. So that's fascinating. But then I remember that after that you did another video which was more elaborate, which was at all I remember there was a block of flats.
Advice for
Some
living.
yeah, advice for
It was
living,
called
and then yeah.
yeah. No, go.
Yeah, yes, and somebody yesterday on Facebook when I said I was doing this live with you said that you did it at a roundabout. He mentioned the name of the roundabout. I've just forgotten it.
It's
But
the
what I do?
Lubambe Center. The
Okay, cool.
Lubambe Center.
Yeah, man. And I'm just for the record, I'm amazed that you remember even the days and the times.
Man,
that
I
these things happened.
remember
It's
every
crazy.
single thing about Zambia till I die, man. I remember in the streets. I remember the statue of the dude. I remember the smell. I remember walking down, seeing the copper ore falling on the sides. Man, I
Yeah.
remember my street, 82 Getty Street. I remember my friends, and I'm still in touch with them. Brian Cobway, Mr.
Wow.
Rizzo, I know you out there. He's
Yeah.
born again, and he's doing a whole lot of new gospel stuff these days. But God
Yeah.
bless and
Yeah.
amen.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
man, that's just a
That's
part of
crazy.
my
That's
life. That
crazy. So
yeah, man.
so early on, I lived in Ndola, and I was telling my wife the other day that we had I used to live at Premium Plaza. I don't know if you remember the orange
Yes, I
uh,
do. Yeah.
in Ndola, and there was pebbles on the driveway, and those pebbles had like little pieces of copper, because I'm sure that
Yeah.
they kind of maybe got a big consignment of pebbles from the mines or whatever. And it's so unique to Zambia that you'd have a driveway with like shiny little copper on pebbles, you know. So I've
The
also got great
streets are
memories.
literally, the streets are
See,
filled with gold. The
yeah,
streets are
yeah,
filled
yeah,
with
yeah.
copper.
Copper.
In Zambia, the streets are filled with copper. Y'all don't read those little nursery rhymes and try go looking at Europe to find streets of gold. We go
Yeah,
down to the
yeah, yeah,
neighborhood in
yeah.
Zambia and on Getty Street, and you're gonna find streets of copper. And yes, I used to collect them, man, and I
Did
just
you?
wish I'd kept them. Oh
Same here,
yeah.
man. Same here.
I used
But
to
you know,
col- we used to jump on grasshoppers as well.
really.
Yeah,
What's
we used to catch
that's,
grasshoppers.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. So and did you fry them? And because we used to do that, you know, we used to fry.
I was vegetarian, man.
Look
But
at you.
I used to eat in Shima. In
Yeah.
Shima,
Okay.
my mom would make in Shima, and I'd mix it with like some Indian gravy to
Oh,
give it
okay.
that flavor. Cause I'm a
But when is
Zambian with Indian genes.
right, that's for real, man. But when's the last time you were in Zambia? Just curious. Because you've been. I mean,
Yeah.
after you left, when did you leave?
Okay, so 2003 was the last time I was there. But
Okay.
even that, I was there only because my father passed away while he was still working there. And
Oh
so I
man.
came there
Oh man.
just to do the last rites. But
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, one amazing thing I got to tell you about that time, okay? So it's 2003, and I just I've been struggling with my rap thing ever since I was born, and finally 2003 I got my ARM on really big break.
Yeah.
And my father, my parents, they've always been okay with me wearing having an earring, doing breakdance, doing all my stuff. They never said no, like the
Mm.
other Indian families out there. But
Yeah.
at that moment when I got my break, my dad got a heart attack and he goes.
Oh man. Oh
So
man.
so that's one thing that kept me so grounded that everything I'm doing
Yeah.
because I just love doing it, and it's not for the fame or the views or none of that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when I went there, there was a couple of his colleagues who had come, and what we were doing is taking, because it was a sudden thing and my mom was alone. So
Yeah.
it was we were trying to clear out everything and leave within 2 weeks, okay?
Yeah.
And we'd been living for 25 years.
Mm.
So everything that we possessed, from the refrigerator to the freezer to my dad's clothes, all my dad's colleagues, okay? Because the bottom line is, me and my sister, like all other kids, we got the benefits of a beautiful life in Zambia. And then when you're
Yeah.
young, you run away outside looking for the grass is greener on the other side, okay? But my parents, they stayed there, and they were not shopkeepers and that kind of stuff, man. They was
Mm.
working in the mines. So
Yeah.
all our friends were real. And why
Yeah.
I'm trying to say this is because when they came, we took two sets of all his clothes, of all our belongings. We said, whatever you like, whatever you want to pick, just touch it, pick
Just
it, and
take it.
take it and
Take
go.
it. Wow.
And
Wow.
then one guy came, and I took a cup of tea, and I said, "Hey, do you want to have some tea?" And he said, "Man," he said, "Yue, we just lost, your father. You want me to have tea?" I said, "I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to do." He said, "You want to do something? Come with me. Let me take you." And he took me on a ride around a few spots in Kitwe, okay?
Yeah.
And he showed me like the hospital that's there, but outside the hospital, he showed me the fence that has been built.
Okay.
There's a wired fence around the hospital. And he said, "You see this fence? There are no more Kawalalas who are going to come inside there anymore, because your father drew it, designed it, and it's built and it's there, even though
Oh
he's
wow.
gone.
Yeah.
Do
Yeah.
you see
Yeah.
this building over here? My father was an architect.
Yeah.
So he designed this, and this is there. Now we are staying there, and nobody's going to do it." So he was showing me life that I never thought of, man. My father
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
quietly staying in Zambia and giving back to
Yeah.
Zambia. the best
Like,
way he knew how, while
wow,
all of us were running away looking for fame and fortune.
wow, wow, wow.
And
That's
ever
deep, man.
since then, man, when you say why is the flag up there, why is that, man? 25 years of your most important, journey in life when you are
Yeah,
growing up. That's
yeah,
from
yeah,
Z, man, and
yeah, yeah.
that's in your soul. That's in your blood. Ain't nobody gonna take that away, no matter where you put me. I'll be in Hawaii or Honolulu singing Tiende Pamozi Ti Maumo.
But tell me, so your dad, because this might sound weird, but I remember you sending a message when my mom passed, and I think that was around the same time, 2003. I think you put it on my Facebook wall, saying, I think you said an angel's now watching over you or something like that, and I think that was the same year. So I think we experienced grief around the same time, man. But you respect your dad, man. I mean, like that's like deep and incredibly awesome, and that legacy obviously is right in you, like burning to this day.
uh,
Yeah.
Man, it's just beautiful memories. It's just like yesterday, man.
So I've got a story. This story you might find amusing. So back in, I think it was 1990 95, 1994, 95, somewhere there. It was a year before I started working at Radio Phoenix, and I was still trying to push rap. We had a song with a friend of mine called Alan Vula, MC Suicide, which was doing well on radio, but we weren't getting that breakthrough. So there was one day I was hanging out with a guy called Moose, who was like my closest friend at the time. His dad sadly passed away like 2 weeks ago. Rest in peace, Doctor Kafekwa. And we got to his house at night, and I suspect we had smoked some stuff. And we always used to talk about like doing a music video and like the standard that we needed to do it at. Then we get into his house, right? His dad turns on the TV, and we've just been talking about how we want to do this video. Then Dream Queen by Blaaze comes on, and the production quality is amazing. And Moon starts laughing at me like, this is what you're talking about doing. And this guy's doing it already. So it's crazy, man. You remember your video, Dream Queen?
Yeah, man. But so
It gave me a
the
headache.
quick no, the quick story in that is Dream Queen. It's man, there are hustlers everywhere, all right, and we
Tell me,
learn it
tell
the
me,
hard way.
tell me. This is
So
curious.
I'm a kid from Zambia, and I land
Mm,
in India, and I have my audio cassettes with all the stuff I've been recording and doing. And that itself, for an Indian kid in Zambia, it was, yes, a little ahead of its time.
yeah,
And now
yeah.
imagine for an Indian kid in India where they didn't even care about
Consider
rap
rap
or
at the
hip hop,
time. Yeah,
okay?
yeah,
So there was one company, man, who they called themselves Virgo Music, and they just heard the tape, and there was one guy who spoke all the right words, who said all the right things, and he said, "Hey, sign on this dotted line and we give you your record deal."
yeah, yeah. This
And
sounds
I
like it's going to
took
be
that
a bad story.
but I took that contract and I sent it to my dad in Zambia. I
Oh,
faxed it
okay,
to
okay.
him.
Yeah, yeah,
And you know what he said? He said, "You're
yeah.
crazy. Don't you ever sign this, man. Your dream will come true, but not like this. Don't sign it."
Wow.
And when we're at that age, I was 19. I said, "Well, guess what, Dad? Before you could reply, I already signed it."
Whoa.
And the contract stated that my father would produce, or that I would produce, the
Yeah.
music video, the audio, the recording, the musicians, the food,
Yeah.
production,
And
everything.
you would
And
foot
I
that
told
bill.
my dad footed the bill. And he said, you know what? He flew down to India, and we
Yeah.
weren't rich people, man. We were
Yeah.
working
Yeah.
normal government job. And he came down, and I fought with him. And I said, you paid for my sister's marriage, which just happened last year. You don't gotta pay me nothing else in my life. Give me
Yeah.
this, and this one album will take me to the next, will take me to my Grammys, will
Next
take me
level.
to the.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
you're thinking back then, man. You're thinking it's so straight up.
Yeah.
And he never spoke to me for like 6 months, man, but he paid for everything and we did it.
Oh wow.
And I got the CD and I had to buy my own CDs. I bought 200 of them
Yeah.
and I
Yeah.
brought them back to Zambia,
Yeah.
and they told me, you go for 3 months while we finish the marketing. When you come back to India, you'll be a superstar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I came to Zambia. That's when we put out the Dream Queen video. I was still, I had just signed to a label and they said we're releasing in South Africa, in London, and all
Yeah,
these
yeah.
places, man. So I was going with it because as an artist, you only know what they tell you. You don't
Exactly,
think the,
exactly. You're chasing the dream. You're not looking at the intrinsics.
but man, after I finished my Dream Queen tour in Zambia and Harare, I
Yeah,
went back. I landed with my suitcase at the airport and I go straight to the record label because that's my home, is what I'm thinking.
yeah,
And uh, I land there thinking, dude, where are the paparazzi, man? Where are the newspapers? This is Blase. I just landed, yo. Like, that's what you told me. Where are
yeah.
they? I didn't see nobody. I go to the record label and they just gave me a piece of paper that says, you are now absolved of this contract. All rights, everything belonged to us. There were 3 partners and one of them ran away with all the money.
Are you serious? That's a sad
Game
story.
over. It's
Damn,
game
man.
over.
Yeah. Okay, so I
And
shouldn't
that
have felt so
showed
bad.
me, and right at the beginning, man, that showed me the reality of this entertainment industry. I learned my
Yeah.
lesson day one. It's like,
Wow.
man, everybody's out to get you. Never sign anything,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
And if
That's
you like
deep.
your
Yeah,
work, if you're doing good work, just keep doing it. Somebody who wants it going
yeah.
to come pay you and take it. But if they ask you to pay, just run away.
So my one question now is do you own all your music? You own your masters at the moment, or is it all in different spaces? Because I know you've got a wide catalog, over
Yeah,
which
so
you've built over time.
it,
Yeah,
it's it, it's very different, man. So when you do work for a film song,
yeah.
then you don't own anything. You own
Oh
nothing.
wow. Yeah, yeah.
But if you do your own independent music, which never really gets out there, you own everything.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's interesting because I was listening to not too long ago LL Cool J. So he only in the past maybe 5, 10 years or something has recovered all his masters. So now he owns his own rights, and it's a very recent
Wow.
thing. And so that's how come now you kind of when you hear an LL song in a movie, you know that it's his people that have kind of pushed it. But it's not like because from my understanding, what you've been doing is making music to a large part with a lot of movie projects, which is kind of hand in glove. I'm assuming not really like a commission, but it's
Yeah.
specifically for that. Whereas it's
Yeah.
I suppose to be different in his respect, where because the songs exist already and somebody's trying to push them into movies.
Yeah.
So yeah, but it's a fascinating story. You need to like do workshops and master classes for people who are in the industry because you've got like a whole lot of knowledge which people don't dream of having from your experiences. Both
So
your less yeah, okay.
so honestly, if anybody wants to do that, it's lockdown sessions with blase at
Oh, do you do that?
gmail.com.
Oh man,
Write to me and let's figure out how
look,
to
you already set up an
it's no
email address. Look at you, forward thinking.
it's just because honestly, man, it's like when you've been through a lot of bad stuff and good stuff, it's
Yeah,
like nobody was there to sit and tell us that, hey man, don't sign on that, hey man, get a lawyer, or hey, your sound could be better, yo, you're not flowing correctly, nothing is coming out clearly. Nobody's there to tell you because nobody cared, man.
yeah, yeah,
It was too new, it was too, but now I'm saying we're here, we've done what we got to do,
yeah,
and we may have something that can help you, and if it doesn't, it's
yeah.
okay, but if it does, it's going to be good for you. But if
Exactly.
you don't have that ego, then just
Mm,
reach out, and everybody's right here. At least I'm right here, you
absolutely,
right there. But
absolutely,
people just need
absolutely.
to be, yeah.
Yeah. No, no, it's like a wide field. Now, so this is another story that you might find interesting, outside of Dream Queen and the video and that day in 1995, is that when the Slumdog Billionaire soundtrack was out, and at that point, I'd written an article. I should send it to you because I found it recently. And I remember, so the article was fashioned like this. So let me try and unravel it in 30 seconds. Um, I was with a friend of mine called Simunza. We used to run a thing called Broken Hill, which was an online magazine, right? And one of the articles was about Zambians getting to Grammys or Zambians getting to those world stages, and it was birthed from a profile of J.K. who at the time had said his ambition was to get a Grammy. And most of us thought like Grammy doesn't make sense because of the distance and the work and what all the things that you need to do to get to that level. So anyway, now Slumdog Millionaire gets an Academy Award for best it was best soundtrack or best
Yeah, best
whatever
soundtrack.
it got
Yeah.
yeah. And then A.R. Rahman is on stage doing his thank you
Right.
speech.
And I want to thank the Academy for being so kind, all the jury members. I want to thank Sam Schwartz, IDPR, all the crew of Slumdog, Mr. Gulzar, Rakib Alam, Blaaze.
And then he mentioned your
Rakib
name.
Alam, Blaaze, my musicians in Chennai, in Mumbai. Blaaze, my musicians in Chennai, in Mumbai.
Name and like, damn, somebody I know, is being mentioned on an esteemed global stage with millions of people watching. It's so. It might have seemed like a small thing to most people, but I mean, to some of us guys who've been watching, award shows of that level from the time we were kids, to hear the name of somebody that you're in the same circle with mentioned there, that was huge. So, here and now, salute,
Oh
my brother.
man. No, but honestly, that whole thing is obviously much love and respect to A.R. Rahman.
Yeah,
The way that whole project happened, man, is when I started working in film songs with A.R. Rahman very specifically because he kind of discovered me, and
yeah.
I've been doing only English because even
Okay.
in Zambia, that's what we speak, that's what we get. It's
Yes,
English.
yes.
But
yes.
over here, the film industry is all about the Tamil or the Hindi or the
Yes.
Telugu or the Indian languages.
Yeah.
So when I first wanted to keep doing my stuff, it was A.R. Rahman who said, "Hey, I will take this English stuff and blend it in so seamlessly into an Indian track that
Yeah.
people will just vibe with it." And when he started to do that, it just started to work.
Yeah.
It was a fresh something new. So you'll see like the legendary Rajnikant over here who like flips a cigarette in his mouth, and in the back, and he's driving an auto rickshaw, and in the
Yeah.
back you're hearing, "I'm a man on a mission with ambition, and I hear the beast coming through an Indian tradition with a man," and
Yeah.
you're seeing this guy, and it just
Yeah.
it's like
The
so
visuals
extreme,
and everything. Yeah.
yeah, that it worked. And because it worked, I started to do a lot of stuff with him, and literally for like those next 10 years I was just by his side. And at that time, every time we would work on something, my vision or dream for him, I would always tell him, "Man, your
Yeah.
stuff, you're like a king over here, but the world needs to hear your sound. And you know
Yeah.
what? I can see you on that stage. I can, wish you for the Oscar, for the Grammys." I used to talk that talk like way before,
Like every
because that's
day.
what we do. We dream and we believe that it's going to come true.
Yeah.
That's what Zambia taught us. And
Wow.
while saying all that, he got a message from Danny Boyle, and
Yes.
he said, "Hey, this is a guy." There was very little money for that project, even
Really?
for an A.R. Rahman, yeah, compared to
Yeah.
everything, because Danny Boyle before that was still a niche, independent cult filmmaker,
Yeah.
and so his was not Hollywood budgets; his were independent film budgets. And he was like, "So I don't know, what do you think? You know what? Let's go to London and meet him." So he took me before we started the project, and then I was a part of that whole journey of until it got finished.
Wow.
So when
Where
I
has
had
it
those
took
two
two
songs,
months to like plan the whole thing? Is that like urban legend?
no, it was like when we went there, he said, "Yeah, the vibe is good, things are good. Should we do it? Let's do it." Signed on it, and he said, "Right there, let's start." MIA came into the studio. She's the other rapper, Sri Lankan rapper. She came in, she did her stuff, and AR within like those 2 months, like you're saying, or even 2 weeks, man, it was like recorded, done. And he was like, "The rest of it, we can fix it in post production later, but here you go, here you go, here you go." And it was just like an independent thing. So that's why you don't think about it too much. You just do stuff that you really want to do, and you put it out.
Yeah.
And I think that's what he
Yeah.
tried. Like that gangster blues, it sounds like even
Yeah.
Snoop Dogg would be proud of it if he heard it, man.
Yeah.
Amaye, Amayo. And it sounds like like I was sitting in Zambia
I was
in
gonna say
Luapula
because
province.
that song has like it's I mean I don't know if there's a Tamil equivalent or whatever, but it did sound like a Zambian vibe in that particular
Yeah.
song.
And there's one more that nobody in Zambia has picked up on. It's a
Yeah,
song called I Love My Africa. It's on YouTube, and it's the first song in an Indian film. It's called Maryan,
yeah.
Maryan. And
Wow.
I am rapping and singing in Bemba
Oh wow. No
all the
man,
way through. And it's an
you should,
A.R. Rahman song.
that's
And do
huge,
you
man. You
know
should. Yeah.
and do you know who is the lyricist on that song?
Tell me.
My brother, Mr. Brian Kabwe, who's
Oh
sitting
wow.
in Kitwe right now.
The gentleman you're saying is doing gospel. No.
Yes.
Oh wow. That's
So the
crazy, man.
beauty, so he has a company called Big Deal Graphics.
Yeah.
Brian Kabwe, you got to connect with him.
Yeah. Cause
Yeah.
now okay now you say big deal graphics. 'Cause
His
isn't
sister's
he
name
doing a
was
lot of music
Constance.
videos for like a lot of guys in
Yeah.
the copper belt
Yeah.
at the moment.
Same
Oh
guy.
wow.
So
So you say yeah.
what I'm trying to tell you about that story is when I'm sitting in the studio with A.R. Rahman, he said we got a song where these Indian guys are going to Africa and then they get kidnapped or whatever, and then there's a big fire. There's a fireplace. They're like outside and they're having a fire and they're doing a barbecue, and
Yeah.
in the night they're all dancing around and we want to have like an authentic African powerful, energetic song. So, Blase,
Yeah.
can you give me something? But I want it to be real.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you, man, right there from his studio, I got in touch. I called up Brian Kabwe. I sent him a message. Middle of the night, he woke up. I said, please, brother, it's urgent. And he picked it. He said, what do you want, man? And I talked to him once in like 2 months, once in 3 months. But the love is always real, man. It's so
Yeah.
real. And he picked up and I said, listen, I'm going to write some English lines and I want it to be translated in Bemba poetically.
Yeah.
And don't worry about the pronunciation because I will get my pronunciation right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And he said, okay. And within 20 minutes, he sent back a whole chunk of lyrics, okay? Ubwikashi wandini mu Afrika. Ifitolo fyanti fintwalaku Africa. It
Yeah.
goes
Yeah.
on like that. And I just rapped it out. I said it out. I did layers on
What's
it.
the movie name
And
again? Because yeah, a whole
M
bunch of us are gonna
the,
be like binging
yeah.
over the
M
weekend. Yeah.
yeah, Maryan,
Oh
Mariam.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Somebody spelled it. Who is it? I am fine. Was asking if that's the spelling, and that is correct. All right. Cool.
And
That's
it's I
dope,
Love
man.
Africa, okay? And the
Yeah.
song, when you hear it, you can see there's a Indian Zambian kid doing Bemba rap, man, out there. Why haven't you got me down to the country to perform for y'all?
In
Because
time, man. Like you see, the thing is like so. This is what I found fascinating over the years, right? There's like layers of history in terms of our hip hop back home, and at the moment there's a current crop being celebrated, and they're doing like an amazing job. And once in a while, somebody from that crop um, tries to dip back into history and says, you know, like what were the foundational guys that brought us to where we are today? And when that conversation starts going, names start popping up, and I think it's important that like you know people start acknowledging that Blase. I mean, because obviously you've got like two stanzas to your life. You had the Zambia, I'm pioneering stuff, and then you've got the India, I'm becoming a star, you know, side to you. So I think now more than ever that the conversation kind of needs to be refreshed, so that you know the name starts. You know, people
you
start
know,
remembering this stuff. I try to do that.
you know,
Yeah, okay.
you know somebody else that we've been missing, and I've tried to find him on YouTube, on everywhere. I can't find him. He's not around, active. Remember the guy called Kachepa? Oh, be a man from Kachepa.
Kachaka.
Kachaka, be a
Yeah,
man,
yeah,
Kachaka.
yeah.
That's why I
So,
can't find it, man, because I've been
so,
typing
so-
it wrong.
yeah, man. No, he's around. So he's a lawyer. You know that at the time that he did those songs, he was studying law, and so
Oh,
I think he's based in Namibia still.
but he
'Cause
inspired as well. He inspired me because he put it out. It was a
yeah,
cassette with his face on it and a video with him
yeah,
singing.
yeah, yeah,
That was
yeah,
that was to say, dude, even you can talk about beer and still
yeah.
get your point across.
Absolutely. So I don't know if you know a guy called Pompey. He's a recent guy. Pompey's
Yeah.
huge right now in Zambia. And here's something that guys who are watching might not pick up on. So Kachaka did something which similarly was done about a decade before. Anamale foundationally did Excuse Me. Remember Excuse Me, using like broken English.
Yeah.
And then later on, Kachaka had the same formula with It Is True, like the broken English, right?
Yeah.
And then later on, Pompey had a full album about three years ago called Broken English, where he did the same thing. So it's like one of those things that fascinates me because like every decade or two, somebody comes up
We
with
come
something and it's
back.
groundbreaking and it's memorable. Yeah, but Kachaka is a lawyer, man. He's like I don't know if he's state counsel, but like
I'm gonna have to
he's
send him.
lawyer
I'm
robes and
gonna
all
have
that
to.
stuff.
I'm gonna have to send him my contracts now. Like, yo, you gotta look out at these.
You need to represent me with your musical experience and and all this stuff. His sister Veronica actually runs a group on Facebook called Zambian Authors. So if you've written a book or whatever, it's a big group. And so Veronica Kachaka, who used to manage him back in the day, because during my last story about Victor Kachaka, during that
Wow.
time, he was putting out music, and she was the person who was kind of like shielding him from the public because she was saying that he's so generous that if somebody comes to him and says, "Hey, Kachaka," he'll give them a tape. And she was like,
No.
"No, this is bad for business." So she'd be the one who was like, "I'll play bad cop, you do your arty thing," and that was the team,
We got a
man.
comment right there. I remember Kachaka and his lovely song Rambam 2002. Yeah.
Yeah. No, man, like that's good stuff. We're about to wrap up, man. Like the time's already like we've done 45 minutes, and these guys do a cutoff, before you know it. But I want to find out like a couple of things. So we've talked about the fact that you've done soundtracks and you've done all that kind of stuff, and you've got like a bunch of wisdom that you are able to drop. Because one of the gaps that exists not only in Zambia, but I've noticed it even in South Africa, is that artists, because of the fact that we want people to love us and we want to put our work out there, we don't do that thing that you talked about a lot, like watching the fine print in contracts, or just kind of understanding what we're getting into. And before you know it, years down the line, guys start looking at people who maybe were like record company owners or promoters and saying, no, that guy ripped off that artist. Whereas in actual fact, there was also an onus on the artist to level up in terms of knowledge. So you've got like a bunch of it through experience. I mean, I don't know if you've you've got some books and contract stuff that you've been reading over the years, but if say somebody like Tivo, for example, Tivo, who's the head of the Zambia Association of Musicians up in Zambia, or somebody from SA wanted to reach out and say, let's do some knowledge exchange where you can drop these nuggets. What are your thoughts around that?
Man, I'm ready. Just hit me up and let's go. Do we start right now?
Well, you can,
No, man. Always, man. For me to connect back home is like the biggest thing, and to be, in fact. So I have another. I'm gonna put you on the spot right here. So
Yeah,
there's one thing that we'd like to do right now. Okay, we have a brand new song. Okay,
yeah.
and it's called "Good Times Ahead." When you put this up, when your people see, when everybody sees this, it's just got a little 10-second hook line, okay?
Okay.
Which says, why ya 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 yeah, why ya 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 yo.
Yeah.
And the rest of it, I'm talking about how I've struggled on my journey and I'm here and we still got so far to go, but everything's gonna be okay. And what I'd really like to do is to start with you just
Okay.
sending me a 10-second video clip
Yeah.
of just singing that. Yeah, I'll send you everything, okay? But
No,
just singing that. And
send
then
it through, man.
if
Yeah.
and then if you can also get anybody and everybody to put it out there of showing a little bit of your street, showing a little of South Africa, whatever, but just saying those two lines.
Yeah.
I don't want to put celebrities up there. I don't want to make it like that thing because they all have got enough of their due, man. I want to
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
real people and anybody else who wants to join in. You're welcome, but to just say those two lines, but I'm reaching out to my friends in Zambia, in LA, where I studied, and my few friends in the UK who are still at
Yeah.
school, where I was at school with.
Yeah, no,
Because I
yeah.
want to put out a kind of video where it's people you actually know and grew up
Yeah.
with. And this is the way I can say thank you by
So there's a
just
connection. There's
having
like a
you.
net.
Yeah, but just putting
Yeah.
that clip out, and you can definitely get a lot of people to just say that thing. And then when you put out the full video with all these people singing the Waya Yo, it becomes, I'll tell you what it's called, the Good Times Ahead anthem. You know
Oh
what I
wow.
mean?
So it's like
GTA, Good
yeah,
Times
yeah, yeah.
Ahead.
So like hope post the lockdown kind of vibe.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
to do it right now and just to get everybody to say that one line, and then that would be like, and it's such a Zambian song anyway, so
Yeah,
it
yeah.
would really, maybe then they'd be like, yo, why ain't you coming down to Zambia and I'll be on the next flight, you know? But
Flights coming out of India right now because like it depends on where
man,
borders out in South
I
Africa are
jump on a
closed.
boat, I jump on a
And
boat
start
and start
rowing
rowing.
right now.
Like how they took us
This
down
is
that
how
side,
we
we're gonna
do it.
come back. And
That's
on my journey, I'll be singing Tiende Vamos Inti.
But tell me. So I listened to one of your songs, the one that you put out yesterday, like pretty dope and pretty interesting in terms of the way that you phrased it, and the 10 head song, and you
Yeah,
describe so you're talking about a deity, isn't it? With 10.
yeah.
Explain a bit about the song there.
So, see, when I was in Zambia, I
Hmm.
picked up on all the African stuff, and I was so proud of it. When I came to
When you say
India,
African stuff, like in terms of like culture and belief
culture in
systems and stuff.
Shima,
Yeah.
no, and the most important thing I learned from Africa, not Zambia, but okay, Zambia mainly, but you know what? We
Hmm.
never had the word maybe in the dictionary, in our vocabulary. Think
Hmm.
about it. For everybody out there who's watching, if you are a real African, you don't have the word maybe in your vocabulary. But I tell you why. Because when I'm in Zambia and I call up Brian, I say, yo, Mr. Rizzo, can you write this song for me? He's going to say yes or no.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I leave Zambia and I go to any other place in the world and I ask the same question, yo, can we go for dinner? Well, maybe let's see what there is no maybe in Zambia. It's
Yeah.
always
Yeah.
been so straight up. It's just yes or no, man. And
Hmm.
that's the difference between every other place in the world. Everybody, when they say maybe, they're hustling. They're thinking,
Yeah.
yo, what do I get out of this?
So now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that was the that's like the Zambian heart, okay?
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
I land in India and I start working with A.R. Rahman and I start seeing the love that I'm receiving out here from my Indian fans, it's just like, man, you start going deeper into, you look at India as an outsider, right?
Oh
And
yeah. 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 Yeah.
when you look at the colors, the noise, the chaos, the pollute, the everything that you look at looks beautiful. It doesn't
Hmm.
look like how you are sitting in here.
Yeah.
And in continuation of that, you start to understand that there are scriptures, there are writings in Sanskrit, in languages written 5,000 years ago, man, and it's still there. And this stuff, if it's lasted all of these centuries, there's got to be some power in it that it's still there today. And it's just syllables. When you put certain syllables,
Yeah.
so it doesn't matter if you don't even understand the meaning of Sanskrit and stuff. But today, the world looks at it like, yo, yoga, Om, that is like the ultimate sound of the universe. I'm saying now that
New
stuff,
age.
it's, yo, so that stuff was written
Yeah.
like those centuries ago. But if we take the time to dig into it, which I've been doing many years now, and I
Yeah.
found all these gems, and I'm like, dude, but I still don't understand it the way I want you to understand it. So let me
Yeah.
break it down into a rap
And
or
drop some knowledge.
poetically
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, so that's how this whole thing was. There's that whole book called the Ramayana, which is
Hmm.
a huge thing, and it has all these mystical stories which deal with philosophy and moral character and all this stuff, written in like volumes and volumes. Okay,
I was gonna say. I mean, so I'll try and like maybe do a 60 second of rebuttal. while maybe the picture stabilizing, is that what I find
Yeah.
fascinating about that route is that I think we need to, at where we are in terms of life, is get as much understanding of different cultures, different belief systems as possible. Because if you don't, and you stick to your one lane that you've known from the time that you were an infant, then where's the growth? You know what I mean? Because you need to kind
Yeah.
of interact with different fabrics, interact with different scents, different cultures, different, so that you get a broader worldview. And then once you do that, then you'll maybe, if you've got one system that you believe in, you might even have a greater appreciation of it. But we need to kind of, and so me hearing your interpretation with the song um, allows me to get closer to the thinking of a wider a group of people, because of the fact that I'm hearing it from Blaaze. So now I can
Wow.
have be in closer proximity to something that's being said and understand it better than if it was just kind of randomly said to me by somebody else. You know what I mean? So I like, kudos to you is in
and
short.
and just yeah, just like that about the Ramayana and the different things to live with for life. There was some other rap thing I did. A lot of, like, especially a lot of my Zambian friends, they'd wonder, like, dude, even I would wonder when I was a kid, why do Indians put that white ash on their
Yeah,
forehead?
forehead, yeah.
You- When I was a kid, I wouldn't, man. I would be embarrassed about it too,
Hmm.
right? That's being real. But today, I do it every day, every morning, every night, and I tell you why. Because when you look back deeper, when we die, we're ashes. We turn ashes to
Yeah,
ashes,
okay,
dust
okay.
to dust, like Grandmaster Melly Mel said in Beat Street
So,
Breakdown, 1984. So when
yeah,
we are, so it's not for me, it's not for the person wearing it. They put ashes so that the person you are talking to will see that and will understand that no matter how much I try to hustle you, I know
yeah.
we're both going to end up like ashes. So
Oh
let's
wow.
just keep the talk real and drop all the ego, drop all that, and be humble about it.
Yeah.
Because I'm reminding you that, yo,
Hey,
when you look at me, do you
yeah.
see what you're going to become? Because I'm going to become that too.
It's been great,
Sounds
man.
good.
Do you remember a guy called Swithin? His name's just
Swivel, yeah.
Swithin from Kitwe. What was
Swithin,
his
yeah.
name? Yeah, he used to hang. I think when you were doing that thing with the video in the Copper Belt at the
Douche.
block of flats with Chile Price and
Chile
those
Price
guys.
and Double D,
So
Douche
so
and
so
Swivel.
yeah. Anyway, he was among that crew, and then we used to hang out with
Solid
him, and he
E,
always used to
Solid
talk
E.
about you.
He went
Yes,
by as
yes.
Solid E.
Solid. Yeah. I don't know where he is, man. I've been like for years trying to reconnect, but I don't know.
The only guy
Yeah,
who got
Solid
back
E,
to me was
man.
Davis
Yeah,
Banda, Dush. Dush. He was in the video.
yeah.
Davis
Oh yeah.
Banda.
Just
He's
yeah,
still he's
yeah,
around. But you know what happened
yeah,
at Chile
yeah,
Price? Willie, okay, Chile Price.
yeah.
He did the reggae, the ragamuffin stuff.
Yes,
He, he man, his father was up in the UK, and Chile finished our video, and about 6 months later or whatever, everything he set up, and he said bye bye to everybody, and his father finally called him back to the UK, and
Oh,
he got on the flight after
okay.
saying bye bye to all of us. Halfway through the flight, he was diagnosed with meningitis, and he never made it to the rest of the flight. He never made it to the landing. We lost him.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and that's why whenever I put up that
Wow, wow.
advice for living video, it's rest in peace to Willie
Yeah,
Chama, who directed the video. Rest in peace to Chile Price, who passed away. It's just like,
man.
yeah. And he was going. He was like, finally, my father's called me. I'm leaving. I'm
Wow.
going. And his father was Price Waterhouse, man. The dude at
Sure.
Price
It's a
Waterhouse.
sad
That's why
story,
he was
man.
Chile Price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. We have so many angels looking out for us, man. We have to keep doing them proud.